I'm so nervous in front of a live audience today, and palms are sweaty, knees are heavy.
You don't normally have this. Is this new?
This is new. Usually it's just Alex. I'm like, chill.
The extension of his beard.
Okay.
Hi, Olive. How you doing?
Clearly not well.
How do you normally start?
Just like, hey, welcome back to my channel.
Oh, right.
Welcome to episode 4. It will be episode 4.
Number 4.
Oh shit, yeah, number 4. Holly, Finn, Lucy, and now you. Okay, cool, sweet. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Olive, and this is episode 4 of Podcast with Olive. And today I am joined by my wonderful guest, Hannah. So welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Olive. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on the show, and it's a live session today behind the camera.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. It's fine. Oh my god. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. Yeah.
Good.
You doing all right?
I'm fine. The energy is chaotic today, as you can tell, but
Okay.
we're slowly mellowing down. We're all good.
Chill.
We're breathing,
chill.
which is very apt for...
Ah.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, lovely. Lovely.
So, for a bit of context, please tell me about yourself, what you do, and why that breath pun was so appropriate.
Okay, so I'm Hannah. Recently moved to Brighton about 9 months ago.
Nice.
Doing personal training for quite a long time, most of my kind of adult life, and was in London and just decided, let's get out of here. Let's go to the sea. So yeah, moved down here and just do bits and bobs to like pay the bills, and then I teach Pilates, and I'm creating a breathwork business,
Very cool.
which I kind of started getting into a couple of years ago
Yeah.
myself.
Oh, really?
For various reasons.
Oh, I thought your breath practice was something relatively new.
I mean, yes and no, but
Okay.
I started doing it probably a bit before lockdown, but
Okay.
even before then, like, because I had chronic fatigue for a really long time, and I remember someone saying, oh, you need to do some breath work,
Right.
like, and they wanted me to do the like
Nadi Shodhana?
yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously at the time, this was like 10 years ago or something, I was young and naive and was like, whatever.
Yeah.
What's breath work? Like, what's that going to do to help me? And looking
Yeah.
back, I'm like, oh, that would have been a really great idea. But, you know, you're just at different stages at different times. But yeah, I think just before lockdown, there was just a lot of personal stuff going on for me. And I started meditating again a lot more. And was just using my breath a lot within that to kind of help me focus. And then because I was doing personal training and I'm always interested in kind of different, I guess, modalities and things that impact your body, I just started getting into breath work and just found it. And because it was lockdown, obviously, I came across Oxygen Advantage, which is more kind of functional breathing and sports performance. And you could do an online program. So I just did that. And that was kind of how I went down the kind of slippery slope into breathwork. And just this world opened to me.
Yeah.
So that was
Sick.
kind of a bit of a nutshell of how it came about. Yeah.
Interesting. So with your breath work that you do now, is it again more Oxygen Advantage, or is it slightly different?
So it's a bit different. So there are different, it's like a spectrum essentially. And you've kind of got the more breath control and like breath release, if you will. So breath control would be more like pranayama, Oxygen Advantage, like functional breathing, helping your breathlessness. So all like really great day-to-day breathing techniques, basically helping your anxiety, your stress, your sleep, and just helping you like focus basically and be more efficient in your respiratory system from a day-to-day basis. And then you've got the breath release, which is more like what we've done. We did a bit. Helping you release emotions from your body, and like I guess it's more kind of therapeutic and like trauma based, if you will, in that you're using the breath to engage and open up your body to kind of get it into a space where you can allow it to start releasing whatever it wants to release.
Yeah.
Like we don't really get to choose and decide what one we're ready for, whatever. Our
Yeah.
body just kind of knows.
Absolutely.
So maybe as you experienced, you know, when we use that technique,
Yeah.
different things happen and different emotions release,
Yeah.
or memories come up and insights,
Yeah.
or you might be wanting clarity on something, or, you know, finding your purpose, like something deeper. And so they're two very different things,
Okay.
but they're both, like, it's hugely beneficial. It's just kind of knowing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so for me, I kind of use a mix of both at different
Yeah.
times. So like this morning I actually did like an emotional release practice, because
Oh.
there's just stuff going on, and I was like, I want to do this to kind of help me ground. And then you do like a little shavasana at the end,
Yeah.
which I love. And then I still do like oxygen advantage stuff and different things like that to kind of help me with my day-to-day breathing, especially after
Yeah.
having COVID. And I think like a bit of long COVID, these techniques are really fantastic to help you kind of open up your respiratory system and help
So
your breathing like
fascinating.
recover.
Yeah, entirely. And what I found from when the session that we did together, so it was conscious breathing, right?
Yeah, conscious connected breathing, which
Conscious
is like an
connected
umbrella
breathing.
term
Okay.
for any breathing essentially where there's no pauses. So you're
Okay.
keeping it circular.
Yeah. And what I found during that session, like you said, your body just starts to release whatever it kind of wants to. So in the 2 sessions that we did, I think in the first one, I was just like there, just chilling. And as soon as you took your hands to my diaphragm, and you were like, breathe in here a little bit, I just started crying.
Yeah,
so
I
much.
pressed in.
Yeah, you pressed into there, and I was like, I have no idea why that's come about right now. It was clearly what needed to happen.
Sure.
And then the follow-up session, it was more just sort of kind of inwardly focused. And I've had a bit of like time to kind of reflect from our sessions. Like sometimes it takes me, you know, a couple of weeks, couple months to kind of process what's gone on or realize different perspectives. And one thing I've realized is that I don't willingly let myself express emotion quite as freely as I thought I did. And I feel like a lot of adults are probably like that, right? Like whenever we feel jealousy, it's like, no, let me suppress it. Whenever we feel rage, it's like, no, let me suppress it. Whenever it's like, I need to cry, it's like, no, now's not the right time. And I very much do that to myself as well.
Sure.
So that breathwork pattern was like, no, let's just like allow it to come out and release and let your body do its thing.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that particular breath, the kind of emotional release side of the spectrum, you know, is to help you essentially surrender, like let go of control. And I think a lot of us, you know, I do, like just this week, I was like, oh my goodness, like realizing all these things about myself.
Yeah.
And we very much have a tendency to try and control as much as we can, like control our emotions down, like not let things out. Also depending on, you know, what your upbringing was and what was allowed, what wasn't allowed. It's stuff gets stuck down, and we kind of close in on ourselves and we don't allow certain things to be present or to come out. And so this breath work is very much about, you know, not the breath control, breath release, and allowing ourselves to feel and to allow whatever happens to come up and take the time to integrate it into your life.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's great that you can have, sometimes in these experiences, you can have this kind of altered states of consciousness where it's almost like a bit of a high, like you might get with psychedelics or even like a religious experience or something like that. Fantastic. However, if that's all we're looking for continuously, you don't actually change.
No.
You're still escaping reality. You're not changing reality. And so that's the difference, is you want to try and then integrate what is happening in those sessions and allow the kind of the emotions to come out as and when they will. And essentially like allow ourselves to open up and allow our hearts to be open, which is like ironic that I'm talking about that, because that's actually something I really struggle with. But I kind of use these techniques to help me as well, like open up and just be really present to whatever's happening. And particularly in those sessions, it's kind of like, we like to talk about surfing the waves, like surfing the emotions. So it's not pushing them down, like you said, like, oh, rage comes up, well, push it down. Oh, this comes up, push it down. It's actually just allowing yourself to surf what's ever happening. Like, as I used to be a roller coaster, like it still can be, and now it's like, okay, something's happened, just surf the wave, like don't fall off the board. You know, like don't topple yourself. The breath is almost like the board that you're kind of on, and allowing the emotions to kind of go through you and allow them to be present. and don't push them down. However, also not overanalyzing them and going, oh, well, I cried, so that means this.
Like trying to rationalize
Yeah, because this is happening in my life, and so therefore this means that, which we all do, I think, to some extent, because it's like that control. We don't like the unknown, so we want to keep everything boxed in. And so it's being able to surf the waves and the emotions, allow them to come through you without any judgment, and just be curious. Like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that was about. I have no idea. And maybe later on, like you said, something will come up to your mind and you go, this is, I do this. You know.
And I think like not that I struggle, but again, an observation that I've learned about myself is that I'm a very, very practical thinker. So I will over rationalize everything. It's like, oh, you're feeling this, it's because of XYZ, and it's almost like a list in my head of why I'm feeling that. And it's again this idea of like, because I'm rationalizing it, I have control over it, and for me, not having control is like a terrifying thing, as it is for like a lot of people, because if there is something in your life that you can control, the wider world seems sometimes less scary. But I've found that in moments when I have let myself like release that control, that's when like some wonderful like fruits come through, and it's like, oh damn, this is really fascinating. I wanted to kind of digress ever so slightly and go back when you were talking about kind of implementing what you learned in the session into your daily life. Do you have ways in which you do that? Like, do you journal afterwards, or?
So the integration, sometimes I journal, sometimes I'm not great at doing that. Sometimes I like do voice memos and stuff like that, because I'm a bit of a like verbal processor. And if I write, I feel like my brain works quicker than I can write stuff down. And so sometimes I struggle with that. Also, integration for me is just like stillness. Like I go up to St Anne's Wells most mornings and just like meditate like really early in the morning, because it's just super quiet and still. That for me is like an integration. Kind of like, for me anyway, it's like anything that kind of brings a bit of joy. Or so like I go in the sea a lot, like I love it in the summer, but I'm actually missing the winter. I love doing cold water swimming, so I just want to get in the cold water and kind of, it really grounds me and makes me present. So I think for me, anything that integrates is something that grounds you, because you want to be able to take that experience and bring it into your life. And sometimes maybe that's making lists or like an action plan. Like sometimes that is, you know, like currently I'm in that kind of state for myself. I'm just like, right, I've got an action plan of all these different things, no pressure, but this is how I'm going to integrate and be aware of what has kind of come up and what I need to bring into my life. Sometimes it's just like being in nature, like I really like to walk barefoot, but I don't really do that a lot in Brighton anymore. I used to do it all the time in London. Not on like the concrete, but like on the grass. Like I would, it's very green in London, so I had loads of opportunity to just constantly be barefoot and as an outdoor PT. Nice. Anyway, I feel like I'm not sure I answered your question, but anything for me, integration is anything that kind of grounds into your body, and you can bring into your life in ways that work for you, that you're not necessarily overanalyzing. I think so. Journaling, getting into nature, just chilling, listening to a podcast, like just anything that kind of makes you pause and have time with yourself.
Are you quite good at making time for yourself?
I can be. When I feel quite frenetic, I know that I haven't like done enough time. And obviously there's a difference between like, you know, what is rest? You know, there's a difference between just kind of chilling and watching TV, actually engaging in a restful experience. And so it's kind of knowing yourself. And, you know, like I say all this, but it's still a work in progress, like every day. It's just knowing yourself and actually what is quality time for you and what is beneficial. Sometimes I just want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix, and it's amazing.
Of course.
Other times I'm zoning out. I'm like pushing things away. So I'm not too bad at it, but when I get frenetic, I know that something's up. And I haven't had enough time doing something.
So to digress again slightly, which is my favorite word if you haven't told already, did your chronic fatigue come about when you were being a PT or like doing PT predominantly and you weren't giving yourself as much time to rest?
Oh, it's a deep question. So, yeah, chronic fatigue is like a big, maybe scary world in some ways. Like chronic fatigue, ME, everyone's now seeing it with long COVID. It's very similar.
Yeah.
There's many, many reasons it can come about.
Okay.
And that's the thing is people don't 100% know because in Western world medicine, I guess it's very like, and in just the Western world, we want things to be like very black and white. This is how we got this.
Yeah.
You don't know. Like I had it over 10 years ago and people had no idea like, what to do.
Right.
And so I had to go on my own journey of looking into like physical, spiritual, emotional stuff and like trying lots of different things and learning lots of different things to be like, it's happening. Like, what's happening to my body? And I think the PT was the kicker.
Okay.
I don't think it was like there was many reasons before that which led to it, and then the PT was like
the final like no.
Yeah, it was like the final straw basically because I was working really hard. Like working in a gym is just ridiculous. Really long days, 15, 18 hours, like
oh my God,
just there all day
with clients
and and then being a Jimmy and trying to like switch over and you just don't get paid well at all. At the same time I was cycling into town. I was cycling to work like 7 miles or something either way.
Oh my God.
Then I was training to be a triathlete, so like I did amateur for Britain as a triathlete. So I was training as that, so I was like lifting and like doing all my cardio sessions. And my body just went, nah.
no.
It just went, no.
Really? So did it just like one day you woke up and it was like...
Oh, no, I mean, it wasn't one day.
No.
It was gradual, but it was noticeable. I just completely brain fog, exhausted, like tired, wired, was just like, I don't know what's happening, like lost my period for 3 years.
Really?
And... yeah, it was, I just had no idea. I felt like I was going crazy. I was so exhausted. I remember calling my mum and she was like, oh, you're just getting older. I was like, I'm 25. No, there's something wrong. And so it was very kind of, over those 2 years that I was in the gym, just getting worse and worse and worse. And then I left, actually lived in LA for like a year. And then that was when the kind of recovery started to happen. And then that's when I went on my really long journey of, what is this? How do you recover from something like this? Basically?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So are you kind of at a stage now where you feel like it's in the past, or does it linger? Or...
yeah, no, it's I think it's in the past, and but I have to be careful. Yeah. So I have to be aware of like my triggers and things that will kind of reactivate, if you will.
Yeah.
What's going on, and that's partly why I use breath work as well, is to help, because it can help with like chronic fatigue. So I just have, I guess in some ways, some people might think it's a very controlled lifestyle, which maybe it is, but it's also like, I have to kind of just watch myself, and I have to like, live a lifestyle and lead a lifestyle that actually is going to help me stay on top and be well, as opposed to pushing everything back to the way it was. And that involves many things. It's like what I eat, like when I sleep, like am I getting up for sunlight or something like that, like am I journaling? So there's lots of mind stuff and spiritual stuff. There's so many elements to it. Kind of looking after your being, which I just think is quite beneficial in general.
100%.
But it's just that I'm aware, because my body will go into that kind of exhausted mode.
Interesting. Wow. And I want to touch on your triathlon and being a triathlete. Like, when was that? As a result of doing PT, or was it something always there?
No, that was probably mostly to do with my stubbornness. I'd always been like a kind of long distance, runner and cyclist. I just loved stuff like that when I was a kid. I was always outside. Like that was just what I loved doing. Nice. And I just cycled everywhere. Like when I moved to London, I just cycled everywhere. It wasn't even a question. And then I got into, so originally I'd actually trained, as it were, I wanted to be like a documentary filmmaker, or like and edit films and stuff. That was kind of what I wanted to do. And graduated, whatever, did a year in London, and then that recession hit back then, like 2008, and I was like, oh, right, what am I going to do? So I just thought, well, I really like keeping fit, and I want to help people, so I'll become a PT. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And I just started doing it, basically.
Nice.
But then, the gym world and the fitness world is, it's tough.
Yeah.
And it's not particularly healthy
No,
at times,
no.
And I kind of got into this mode where you're just at the gym and you just train because you're a trainer. And I just wasn't training efficiently.
Right.
I wasn't recovering. I just was like, oh, what am I doing? Because I was still at the early days of like figuring everything out. And what did I do? Oh, that's right. Before I became a PT that summer, I'd met someone through my other job doing film stuff. He was doing a triathlon, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that. I reckon I could do that.
Sweet.
So I just did it. I just did like the London Triathlon. I just was like, I'll just do it. And then I actually did pretty well. And I was like, oh, I didn't even really train for this.
Nice.
I was like, cool. And then I did like another one, I think, like that following summer, but I actually maybe trained for it more. And then again, like did really well.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, if I actually tweak my training and actually properly do it, then I could be really good.
Yeah.
And one of the clients at the gym like saw my time, and he was like, you could like race amateur for Britain with that. And I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay,
sure.
How'd you do that? And he was like telling me about like age groups and everything. So I looked into it, and I looked into like how you did it. And I remember like telling my mum at Christmas, I was like, I'm going to race amateur for Britain next year. And she's like reading her book, and she's like, okay, cool. And I was like, that was it. I was like, right, stubbornness kicks in. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And then I did. To my detriment, because I just, really went for it, and I was really working hard at the gym.
Yeah.
And overtraining and not recovering, essentially. So that was also the kicker for chronic fatigue. But so it's kind of bittersweet memories. It's like,
fair enough.
I don't think I'll ever do a triathlon again, to be honest. I see people doing ultra marathons and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, no. Just no. Like I know what that has done to me by pushing it and pushing my body to do something that actually it goes, I can't do this, and that's okay. Like you don't have to do all these things that other people do, like to
prove your worth.
Exactly. And so it's like I had to kind of step back from that, and it's always a process of being like, actually, what is good for my body? And what makes me happy? That's what I'm going to do. As opposed to like pushing to do something because I'm stubborn and I want to prove a point, and actually I'm, it's to my detriment, basically. Like actions have consequences, And
I wanted to go back and touch on like the gym environment, because I feel like there's such. Whenever I say to people, like new people that I've met who have no idea about what I do or anything, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like a yoga teacher, personal trainer, movement coach, whatever, I want to say I am. And they're like, oh, that's really sick. Like, you must be so healthy. You must be moving all the time. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I love what I do. I train a lot. I move a lot. But that's not to say that it's not exhausting or not like right for my body. Like I have so many niggles and injuries from overtraining and I'm like, damn, I thought I would like be able to get rid of all of them. But also to go back, like, yes, what I do, I love to pieces, but the fitness world, the health world, the well-being, the yoga industry is so inherently exhausting, and I don't think people actually realize unless you are in it. Even new like coaches that come in don't actually realize like the pay for starters isn't fantastic for the work that you do, and there's this such like grind culture with it, which is so exhausting and quite frankly boring. I'm like, the whole fact that I've had it before where other trainers have asked me like, oh, how many clients are you seeing today? I'm like, 4. And they're like, is that it? I'm like, yeah, because I know that I cannot deal with more than 4 people in a day because I'm giving so much, and I don't want my last client of the day to receive me being completely brain dead. But they're like, oh no, I'm waking up, I've got like 12 like clients a day, like back to back. And I'm like, are you okay? And it's like, it's really exhausting to be around that. But I feel like there are a lot of like old school PTs kind of in that mindset, and it's such a thing, particularly in London, I feel like it's such a culture of like everyone's really highly strung and quite driven, and it's all like go, go, go. Whereas whether in Brighton everyone's just a bit more like liberal and chilled out, I don't know. But yeah, these are my observations and my thoughts.
Sure, yeah. I'm like, where do we begin?
Yeah. Have you noticed a difference between like movement London to Brighton?
So I guess it's trickier for me potentially to notice because for the last, well, I mean, I haven't worked in a gym in years. I worked outside as a outdoor PT.
Okay.
And obviously I'm not PTing at the moment here.
Yeah, of
I didn't
course.
want to get here and just go, right, I'm going to go into
Yeah.
a gym because I was like, I don't want to go into the gym culture again.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. I don't want to get paid really badly or have to pay ridiculous rent.
Yeah.
I just was like, I just don't want to. So it's definitely more relaxed here, I think,
Yeah.
just in general,
Yeah.
as opposed to London.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, London can be a bit kind of grind-like,
Yeah.
just like keep going, keep pushing more and more, more is better. I don't, maybe that's not the same here. I'm sure there are people like that,
Yeah, of course.
I don't think I really feel quite connected to that world to kind of, to really know, but all I know is that the energy here feels very different to London. And so I kind of work off that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't people out there who still have the same kind of,
Yeah, of
I guess,
course.
mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, there was lots of things in there.
Yeah, there
that
was
I'm
a lot, sorry.
What do I respond to?
No, I appreciate it. I think it is, what I have noticed is that people who've been PTs for like around like 7+ years, that grind culture is very, very prevalent. Whereas people who are like a little bit newer, maybe like 3-4 years, it's slightly like less. Like the whole fact that we do need to rest and we do need to look after ourselves within it. Whether it's also because I'm also coming from the yoga space as well, and a lot of us are like, we need to rest, we need to look after ourselves, and
Sure.
it's a very, very giving like practice, as much as PT is, of course. But yeah, I also think there's a new wave of teachers and coaches that are coming through a little bit more, where we're all kind of looking at training a little bit more holistically and not just treating the physical aspect of the body. We're looking at breath, we're looking at the mind, we're looking at emotions, how that's dealing with everything. So it's less treating the body as one separate entity and now as like a whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's slowly trickling into the industry, but to see real change is going to take a fuck ton of time.
Well, the thing is, it will take time because the reality is, actually, what needs to change is people's egos. Like, and speaking as someone who has one, we all have an ego, and it's not about kill the ego and get rid of it. It's like, no, it's right here, and I'm going to take its hand, but put it in a back seat. So it knows what to do, and the reality is that within the health and wellness industry, whichever space you're in, like yoga, gym, CrossFit, like Pilates, like rehabilitation, like movement, whatever it is, even, all the way to like chiropractors and physios and any kind of therapist, anyone, I guess, who is giving and giving a service and helping with the banner of wellness, we all still have to do our own wellness. And that's kind of, the reality is that there might be people coming through now. Maybe there's a bigger wave of people coming through with a different perspective, which is fantastic. My guess is a lot of that has to do with COVID because we all stopped and now we all started, and a lot of people have gone, I don't want to go back to what I was doing, so I'm going to try and change. And we've all had to kind of change our lifestyles in different ways, but it's so easy just to get back onto the treadmill and kind of go at the pace that we were going at. And the reality is it's more about the inner work. And so there are definitely things out there I don't particularly like, i.e. CrossFit, and like some of the things, but that doesn't mean to say that there's not someone out there in CrossFit who's an incredible teacher and like really knows how to look after the people that come to them. So it's like, to tarnish it with one brush is just not okay, because it really is about us individually being able to take our own time and space and work on ourselves to know what we're giving to people and be aware of like our different attributes and actually be okay with them. So like even the negative ones, like not pushing them away and going like, let's box that away. I didn't think that, I don't want, this can't be seen. I didn't think this was here. No, like bring it out. And like just this week I had to be like, yeah, I'm really judgmental and arrogant. Like, I'm really sorry and I'm working on it. And like, I know about it. And I'm really sorry. And I'm trying to work on it. And that's okay. And so it's kind of being able to do that, the inner work, and then the sphere will change, the kind of mentality. The problem is, I think that unfortunately, I think the majority of society don't necessarily engage with that because it's really difficult and people don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to have a mirror held up to them to be like, this is stuff that you do, because it's really uncomfortable.
It's so confronting.
And then it gets shameful and all these other things. And there's no shame in it, but that because of where we've come from, we will react differently. And so that it kind of spills out into the industry in that when I was in the gym culture, it's like, yeah, let's just get really buff and like lift and be and look amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to look amazing and like feel like, you know, body beautiful, but actually my body is beautiful the way that it is.
100%.
And I don't have to like look at something else or attain something else, like we said, to have our worth. And it's the comparison thing, isn't it? Basically, you know, I say this to my clients in terms of posture. I'm like, wherever your eyes look, your body goes. So in Pilates, a lot of people end up being like, whoa, get your eyes up. Otherwise you end up caving in. It's the same in other areas of life. If our eyes are on someone else's lane, we're not necessarily engaging in what we need to engage in. And then the industry becomes this thing, you know, and like, it's just like, and then it becomes this kind of like, I can't think of the word, but you know, it's just, everyone kind of wants it. It's like the desirable lifestyle. And then it just means that wellness becomes really expensive, which is a whole other conversation about how I think wellness should be. It's a human right.
Like it's an
and everyone should, everyone should be able to have access to it. I feel like that was a bit of a ramble.
No,
but that's kind of, I think the gym world and everything, it takes time to change. I think it is changing, but ultimately we have to change inwardly ourselves and help people have a different perspective on their bodies and health to actually start shifting that.
And I think there are like, again, slow waves coming in. Like people are starting to break down diet culture and be like, it really doesn't fucking matter what your body looks like at all. You can be healthy and look this way. You can be healthy and look this way. There's no one way that health looks on an individual. And even like going into like the athletic world as well, like athletes come in all shapes, forms and sizes. And also health can be so, like you said, inwardly focused, and then that can then affect how you hold yourself, for example. So the way that the industry is changing in that respect as well is quite refreshing. But there's still like little reminders every now and then. Like I've had comments like, do you need to lift that much weight? You know, do you want to be a bit careful? Like you're going to get a bit bulky. I'm like, it doesn't. Do you know how hard it is to get bulky? First of all, first of all, it's very fucking hard. Secondly, like I don't give a shit. Like
also, that's more of a reflection on them.
That's
really.
it, right? And it's interesting to see how permeated it is. Like, oh my god, I went to a hotel gym the other day and I wanted to cry because 80% of the equipment was all cardio equipment. And there wasn't like that many like free weights or kettlebells or dumbbells. There wasn't a single barbell or a bench or a squat rack. And it's because like it's such a fearful movement for so many people, because it is like, oh, as a woman you don't want to get big and bulky, or like cardio is the only way to be healthy and fit. And it's a really limiting perspective to have, and it made me really sad because this gym just looks sad, and I was like, everyone in here just looks sad really and bored, like they're all just doing like fucking like single like isolated movements and just draining the life out of them. And I was like, there's so much more to movement, and if that's someone's like experience, they're like being robbed of something so like wonderful and something that's given, I know, me so much and so many other people so much, and like just being playful as well. So,
I think that's the thing. I think a lot of us have lost what it is to play and how to move, and so in some ways it makes sense that gyms just have these very generic 80s styles. Like that's when it kind of came in of like what gyms will be. And that's what people know. And I think if you're not into movement and you're into exercise, then you're just like, well, all they know is I'm going to get on the cross trainer. I actually love a cross trainer, but like, you know, like they'll just get on the cross trainer, and that's okay. That's fine. But like you say, it's just this thing of like, it's such a broader spectrum than what a lot of people give it. But it's also that thing of like actually allowing yourself to move. You know, like we don't know. People don't know. I can't remember, I was telling you about it, but there's like a style of breath work. It's actually this thing called BBTRS, which is like biodynamic trauma release system.
Nice.
Like and it's like somatic. There's lots of different things in it. And but you know, I do it with the breath that we did. So that connected breath in and out of the mouth, and then you just allow your body to move. So you're just there. So I often start standing up. And we'll just stand, and it's just, I close my eyes and put a bit of music on and start breathing, and then you just kind of see what your body does. Sometimes you don't do anything. You're just there. That's what your body wants to do. But then other times it's like you get into all these weird shapes and you're just like all over the place. I'm like, what is going on? But I feel really good because you've just let your body move. Lots of us don't really know how to do that, and it's also really, it's fearful, it's scary. It's like fear-based of going, I don't really know how to just engage and be in my body
and have no control.
Exactly. And so it, you know, the gym world and the exercise world still is the mentality of like, you know, 30 minutes a day of whatever, like cardio, and maybe lift weights once or twice, but people just don't know what to do. Like that's why I used to love taking women into the gym and being like, come with me.
Let me show you
the world of the gym, you know?
Absolutely. I think we're too like prescription based. Like it's like, do your 30 minutes of cardio every day, do like 30 minutes like twice a week, resistance movements. And it's like, it's again this idea of control. But what I've found in like clients that I've had, I'm like, let's just roll around on the floor. Like, to see the light in their eyes like light up as a result of that movement. Like I remember when we did a session outside in the middle of like fucking winter, and we're just rolling around in the grass.
Love it.
It was great fun. Like it's not only incredibly grounding for starters to be out in the elements and to move, but I noticed like people who would walk past us were like really curious and would like stop and watch and be like, what are they doing? Like here are two adults just like rolling around outside. But it's like, it's creating that like childlike curiosity again, where we spent so much time learning about ourselves.
I mean, it's also breaking down the culture of why are you moving, why are you doing this, and what is the end result here. And that is simply like, I was like, I want to have a handstand session, and I want to like learn how to do some inversion stuff and just play, basically. And I think it's like a time thing, a time restricted thing, that some people are like, I need to lose weight, I need to get strong, and so that's kind of the goal. And so there's obviously different ways you can do that. You know, calisthenics, you don't have to lift anything, just your body. You can use bands. So for me, I generally use a lot more bands and like ankle weights now, because that's what my body can do.
That's what you've found.
But it's kind of allowing yourself to actually know what your body needs and what you're gonna enjoy and be consistent with, as opposed to going, I need to do X because this is what I'm told. But it's mostly out of a thing that's going, I need to lose some weight, and I need, you know, I want to look good. And so it's that mentality again. So it's trying to help people refocus what their why and their kind of goal is, and what movement is actually all about. And you know, it's the same with breath work. You know, people will say, oh, I want something for anxiety or for sleep, or to help my breathlessness, or to ground me, or, you know, for emotional release. And I can be like, great, okay, here are some tools, these are the things you can use, boom, done. However, you really need to know your why, because the breathwork spectrum now is like kind of exploding, and people are seeing it more and then going, I don't know which one to do. What do I do? What are these things? And it's kind of knowing your why. It's like, okay, well, I'm anxious and I want to be able to not be anxious and I want to be able to ground and be in my body. Okay, great. That's your why and your what. Here's what you're going to try. But also being aware of how your nervous system is reacting to that. Like sometimes people aren't ready for a certain breath, and actually you need to do maybe more activating breath to then ground them down afterwards, you know, or if they've got breathlessness, it's like, you know, I want to not be so breathless on a day-to-day basis. And I want to feel in my body and I want to have my respiratory system open up. And so I can be focused and not tired. Okay, great, let's try this. So there's lots of different things. It's kind of like knowing your why as to like what you're going to do. And then that's kind of the approach that you take. And it's the same with like fitness, basically.
Just going to pause. Cool. I'm going to digress into some questions now.
All right. It's like quick fire round or something. I don't know.
So after that lovely little interruption with the phone call, thank you so much, sales teams. I'm going to ask you some questions now off the bat. Just what I actually pre-wrote these down.
First thing that comes to my mind.
So someone asked me this the other day and I was like, oh, that's a really wholesome question. So what is the nicest thing a stranger has done for you?
Oh my gosh.
Right? This one threw me off a little bit.
I mean, I don't have the greatest memory in the world, so I'll probably like text you later and be like, actually it's this. What's the... Oh gosh, I don't know.
So I'll tell you mine, so you have some thinking time. I was at university. I think I was in my 3rd year and I was studying for my final year exams. And I went into town to work and it was Pret that I went into. And I was like, oh, can I just have like, you know, a flat white, whatever. And I was just like chatting to them. I was like, oh, how's your day been? And like, you know, just as I usually do with everyone, I'm just like, how have you been? What's gone on in your day-to-day life? You know. And they were like, oh, have this coffee on the house. I was like, excuse me? And they were like, yeah, like we're able to, as like employees, like give away like X amount of free coffee like every month. I know this. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, why? They were like, oh, because you asked me about my day. And I was like, that was really lovely to have that, because I was super fucking stressed with like uni, and like obviously as a student you don't have much money, so I was like, that was a really lovely gesture. So that was a nice thing a stranger's done for me.
Nice. I don't know if this is like the nicest thing, but this is just something that suddenly popped to my mind, so we'll go with it. But when I was in my early 20s, I was like traveling around America, and we basically ran out of petrol because we just were not paying attention. And then we had like gone past the last service station, and I was like, oh, we should have gone off there, like we don't need petrol. And then the next service station was like miles away, and we were like, what are we gonna do? So we ended up just pulling off somewhere and like found this trailer park, and basically we're like, and I think maybe it was the people who run it, I can't remember. We basically knocked on these people's door and we're like, hi, we're traveling across America and we just like are running out of petrol. And it was this sweet couple who I think thankfully just had some canisters like with petrol, or maybe he went to get some, I can't remember. But anyway, they gave us petrol, and then we're like, oh, like how much do we give you? They're like, no, like absolutely nothing. And they just said, you know, we've got daughters like your age, and we just like to think that if this happened to them, that someone else would help. And it was just really so sweet. Because we would have been screwed.
I love that.
We would have just been on the side of the road like,
shit.
Oh God.
Whereabouts in America did you travel?
Oh, all over. I worked in Texas for a couple of summers, like in a summer camp, and then did the classic, like you could do this thing, it's like drive away or auto drive away or something, I can't remember. You basically drove other people's cars who were moving across the country. So we actually got this car which had no air conditioning. So we had to drive it from like Texas all the way over to like California, to San Diego. And I've got this photo of me somewhere like just covered in sweat in Phoenix, because it was just like disgusting. It was just disgusting. So anyway, we did that, and I've actually like travelled a lot over America and lived there a bit.
That's so cool.
That was somewhere between like Texas and San Diego.
Nice.
Couldn't tell you where.
I really wanted to do the summer camp thing, like be one of the camp hosts and stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. I loved it.
What did you do like
at them? First year I was like a co-counsellor, so you've got all your like your cabin of kids, like 8-year-old girls, I think it was, and then you just go around with them all day and do different activities basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second year I had a massive step up to like program director.
Nice.
I was like, yeah, got to drive a golf cart.
Sick.
And then just basically checked in with everyone that everyone was okay, and was
Yeah.
like planning things, as opposed to actually having a cabin of kids, which was great.
Yeah.
I mean, love kids, but it was,
Yeah,
it was great
intense.
not to be so in it with them every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. I just loved it
Sweet.
because you got to be outside all day in the
Yeah.
sun, and there was a lake. Like,
Amazing.
just absolutely loved it.
That's
So,
fucking
yeah,
sick.
that's, I think ever since then that's been my like, I want to run a retreat and like
Yeah.
just live outside all
Yeah.
day and just have people come and do breath work.
Hell yeah.
it
It will
would
happen.
It would be fun. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Right, next question. What era would you like to visit? So you could go from like
What
anywhere.
era?
Yeah, like
I was like, what era? I was like, what mistake? I thought that's what you meant. I was like, oh god. What era? Oh, okay. If I could live in an era, I would live in like the 1960s. I would live in Laurel Canyon, basically when all the kind of like that music, like Joni Mitchell and the Byrds, and everyone was like, they moved to Laurel Canyon area. And that's where all the music, like 60s music, kind of came out
shit.
of. Yeah,
Very
and like,
cool.
Yeah, I loved it. I just
Yeah.
love that kind of music, and
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
was partly my love for like LA and just California, and that's where I lived.
interesting.
So,
Yeah.
and I was up in Laurel Canyon for a bit, and that's the era that I'm just like fascinated by for
Yeah.
some reason. It's just
Yeah.
like my heart is kind of drawn to it, and that
Yeah.
style of music. Like last night in my dream, I sang Joni Mitchell, A Case of You.
Nice.
I woke
love
up
it.
and I was like, why am I singing that? But that's kind of, I don't know, I love it. And it's such a
interesting.
beautiful
Yeah.
part of the world.
Do you want? This is like a very bizarre thought. Do you ever feel like whatever moment in history you are drawn to is anything to do with like past lives?
Maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. I've never really...
Or like, you have a draw to a certain country. It's like, I wonder if that's because like you have some kind of association to it from the past.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't really think about past life stuff.
No.
It's not anything that I kind of ever think about, but potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know that I'm very drawn to like that part of the world.
Yeah,
And I'm
interesting.
kind of fascinated by it, and I think that's why that's partly the era that I would
Yeah,
love to
yeah,
just
yeah.
be around in, like the hippie kind
Yeah.
of hippie vibes, and it's just
Hell yeah.
I just love it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
Alrighty.
want to know what yours is though.
Oh,
Am I allowed
shit.
to ask that?
Yeah, go for
Okay.
it. I don't know really. I feel like the 80s seem like a pretty cool time. Like purely from watching Stranger Things, I'm like, I just love like
Sure.
do you know what I mean? It's just like the outfits that everyone was wearing
Yeah.
is something I'm very drawn to. The kind of music
Just
of the
do
style,
it.
the era, just fucking.
Just do it.
I mean, I'm
Just-
kind of
yeah,
here at
you're
the
on the
hair,
way.
I'm on the way.
Yeah.
Just slowly bringing it back. But yeah, it just I think as well for me, having grown up seeing so much American pop culture when I was younger, and I was like, damn, I just wish I grew up in America for some reason when I was younger, like
yeah.
going to high school, going and like being on like different like sports teams,
Yeah,
like the music,
sure.
like
I
having,
get that.
you know,
Yeah, I
like the
understand.
neighborhood where all the kids like played together and all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's something that I've always been, again, like yourself, like fairly interested in. Yeah, that would
Looks
have
very
been
idyllic.
Yeah.
But as someone said to me this morning, the
Yeah.
grass is greener, but you still have to mow it.
Uh-huh.
Well, and actually, the grass isn't greener scientifically.
Yeah, so it's so true.
It's
Like,
just the
no,
angle
no.
of the light you're looking at it. But, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so it's a
I
lie.
heard that on a podcast. I was
Did
like,
you?
what?
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was like, I need to research this. But
Nice.
apparently, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And if that's not true, it's worked for me. It's helped me.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
It's fine. Whatever keeps you,
Yeah.
you know.
But yeah, I
sleeping
get
at
that
night.
kind of the high school work, being on
Yeah.
the block, massive trees
Right?
and streets. Yeah, I get it.
And then like going to like university and everyone kind of living in like, you know, the sorority fraternity houses.
Yeah.
I was like, sounds really intense, but
But I want to do it.
I want to do it. Yeah, equally.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle would tell me about, my uncle's from Boston originally, and he would tell me about all his stories of like being in like frat houses and again all
Sure.
the movies around it. I was like, damn, looks amazing.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be exactly as it is,
Yeah, of course.
obviously, but you know, it's different culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be my answer.
Nice.
So final question. I feel like you kind of almost like answered this, but if you were a music genre, what would it be?
Oh. Oh gosh, I've never thought about that. If I was a music genre. I mean, yeah, maybe I would go with like the 60s kind of. I don't even know what you call it. Like, what? I just love Joni Mitchell and that kind of era. I just love it. So maybe I would be that kind of style, like James Taylor. Maybe.
Nice.
That I think that's probably my baseline.
Yeah.
What I would be, but like then. And that wasn't supposed to be a musical pun. That would just be my like, that's my general base of where I would be. But then I would have moments of like, you know, being house music. Where I get really frenetic and I'm just like, ooh. Or I'd, you know, have moments of like classical where I'm just like wanting to zone out. But that would be my general go-to, I think.
Nice. Yeah, it's like different genres for different personality traits.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I always get very bored by people who are like, I only listen to this. I'm like, really? Life is too short, my guy. Like, listen to a bit more. You know, there's a whole host of interesting things out there.
Sometimes people just, you know, they know themselves and that's what they want, and they give
very
it that,
true.
You know.
Very true.
I'm just I often need people to prod me to like branch out a bit.
Oh, really?
Well, just because I'm not as in touch as I was when I was like younger. I don't listen to the radio as much and different things, and I'm just not on it as much. So someone will be like, "Oh, I heard this band, great."
Yeah.
Let me listen to that.
Yeah. Nice. I wonder if that's a personality thing as well. Like, I'm just so fascinated and curious with everything that there is out there. Sometimes it's very overwhelming because I'm like, oh, there's so much things that I want to do and see, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I always tend to sometimes then digress into what I am comfortable with. And I wonder, like, interesting.
Maybe. What's yours? 80s?
No, I don't know. Again, depends on my mood, depends how I'm feeling, depends on what personality feels strong today. But I don't know, I have like 3 main playlists for like, so one's a hip hop playlist, one's a metal playlist, and then one's a playlist from like very prominent female queer artists. I'm just like, good bops. So I feel like that's kind of those three, like, that's me in a nutshell ish. But
great.
Well, I like to kind of round it off there. Was there anything else that you wanted to kind of touch on before we close?
No, I think that was good.
So if people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Sure. So so my Instagram, I'm like, what's my Instagram? It's breath_works, but with an E.
Cute.
WERKS.
Nice. I'll put all your bits as well in the description.
Okay, cool.
But
that's probably the only way
nice.
you can find me.
Yeah, and people can do one-to-one sessions with you.
Yeah, one-to-ones, trying to sort out some group sessions and some like workshops and things so that it's a bit more accessible. Yeah.
Sweet, very cool. Yeah. And hopefully by the time this comes out, we're kind of building up towards our workshop together as well. So exciting times. Yeah. But thank you so much for joining me today, Hannah. It's been really interesting getting to know you more because, again, selfishly, these podcasts are for me to learn about my friends, and I didn't know your whole story.
There you go.
So here we are. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It was really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that lovely jazz. And we'll see you next time.